everyone, I'm Marissa, and I am joined once again by my favorite co-host, Coffee, and today we are going to make s'mores whoopie pies. So some of you may be asking, what is a whoopie pie? A whoopie pie is essentially a sandwich cookie slash pie slash cake. It's got two kind of cake-like cookies with a cream filling in between the sandwich. I'll put a picture here of just a standard whoopie pie. So the whoopie pie is a request from my Uncle Ron in Ohio. Hi, hope you're doing well in quarantine. And whoopie pies are usually just chocolate with like a regular cream filling. And you guys know me, I don't like to just do the usual, the traditional, whatever. And it's getting hotter. I hate summer. I hate hot weather. I hate the sun. I hate summer. And I was thinking, what is like a summery kind of flavor I can do? I didn't want to do a fruit flavor because I thought that'd be a little boring and maybe somewhat divisive. And then it hit me. One of my favorite summer treats is a s'more. But I like my s'mores with dark chocolate. I did not care much for s'mores until it hit me that like I could put whatever chocolate I want in it. So if you come at me with a s'more with milk chocolate, I'm going to, don't, please. So for this recipe, we're gonna need to make three components. We're gonna need like the cookie cake sandwich part. We're gonna need to make the buttercream filling. In this case, it'll be a marshmallow buttercream. And the third component, and my arch nemesis, is we're gonna have to make a ganache. All right, guys, let's get crack-a-lackin' on this. For the first component, the kind of cookie cake sandwich bit, you're gonna need 2 cups of crushed up graham cracker. Make sure to get a bowl that's not big enough because you underestimated how big 2 cups was. 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Gonna need a teaspoon and a half of baking powder. Gonna need half a cup of milk. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of vinegar, coming around, half a cup of room temperature butter, a cup of packed brown sugar, and 2 eggs. 2 things real quick. I am using dark brown sugar because I, for some reason, have an abundance of it. Brown sugar is just regular granulated sugar with molasses mixed into it. Dark brown sugar just has a little bit more molasses. So the only thing that might happen is these might bake a little faster or brown a little faster because of the high sugar content. So I might just have to keep an eye on it. And the other thing, I'm using apple cider vinegar. The recipe didn't specify what type of vinegar. I assume white vinegar, but we don't have any. So this is what we're doing. So let's just, let's see how this goes. One last thing, then I promise we're gonna start baking. Okay, I'm gonna add this to the weird things I did not expect them to be out of at the grocery store. This week's addition is graham crackers. Just no graham crackers in the whole store, obliterated, done. So in place of that, I found these. So I'm using these. They taste like graham crackers, the texture's different, but you know, what's that? You know, we work with what we got. All right, first things first. In one bowl, we're gonna combine our flour, our graham cracker crumbs, and our baking powder. All right, that's looking good and combined. Next up, in another bowl, we need a bunch of bowls for this one, by the way. You're gonna combine your vanilla, your milk, your baking soda, and your vinegar. Let's see what happens when we combine these 2 puppies. I'm interested to see. Gonna add the vinegar on camera, see if anything fun happens. Ooh. A little bit of a chemical reaction there. I'm sure that's just going to help fluff up the texture of the little cookie cake things. All right, that's looking pretty mixed. Now moving along. All right, now we got out the big guns. In our mixer, we're going to cream together our butter and our brown sugar. All right, that's looking pretty creamed. So moving along, we're going to add our eggs one at a time, completely mixing between each addition. Let's do that. All right, we got both of our eggies mixed in here now. You can see, there's our texture. Now we're gonna gradually add our dry and our wet ingredients, alternating between the two, starting and ending with our dry. Why? I don't know, but that's what people always do. Let's do that. You'd think the more I do this, the more organized I become. Actually, it's the opposite, the less organized I become. All right. Gonna do some dry, a little bit of our wet, more of our dry, do the rest of our wet. I don't think I divided those evenly, but yeah, who cares? I don't, rest of our dry. See, we're ending with dry, like I said, bada bing, bada boom. You wanna only mix until it's just combined. So I'm just gonna give this one last quick round with the mixer. And I'm gonna mix the rest by hand. Always be sure not to overmix. Get out of here. Looks good, looks good. All right, moving on to the next phase. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put some of our batter in a piping bag, and then we're gonna pipe these out into little 2-inch circles. So what I did is I made little 2-inch circles on the underside of my parchment paper. Remember, you place it pencil side down. No one wants to eat pencil lead. And I just happen to have this little 2-inch cookie cutter that I used as my stencil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bake this first tray, see how much they spread out, and see if I can fit more on the next one. Because if I can only bake 6 at a time, I'm gonna be here all day. And at some point my parents wanna watch that rocket launch, and I have no idea when that's happening. I could look into it, but you know what? That takes more effort than I'm willing to give at this moment. So let's just do this as fast as we can. Sure not to overstuff your piping bag. You can use just like a gallon Ziploc bag, but I have piping bags, so that's what I'm gonna use. Skizzles! Gonna cut off the tip, just enough. Yep. Out of my way. Come over here. My oven's ready. So I'm gonna do it like this. I don't know if you guys can see me. It's about good. All right, we got our 2-inch circles piped out. My oven's ready. I'm gonna bake these at 375 for 8 to 10 minutes, and we'll see how much they spread out. Bye. Okay, while those are baking, I did a little research into the history of whoopie pies, and apparently it's a far more controversial dessert than I had originally thought. So there's a big thing as to whether it originated in Maine or it originated in the Pennsylvania Dutch community. So, and also a bunch of other New England states are kind of throwing their hats in the rings to claim the whoopie pie. It's a whole mess. It's a whole thing. So pretty much like in the 1920s, there was a bakery in Maine that claimed they started it. Then there was a bakery in Massachusetts that claimed they started it. The Pennsylvania Dutch, AKA the Amish, AKA German immigrants, claimed that it was just kind of like an old cultural dish, and there's no written documentation of it existing because it was kind of like a word of mouth thing passed on from generation to generation. So that's why they have no, as we say, receipts to prove they're the ones that started it. But so, I mean, the two main contenders for ownership are PA and Maine, and Maine is just really doubling down on it. They have a whoopie pie festival every year that started in 2009, where they have bakers from across the state compete for the best whoopie pie. They made the world's largest whoopie pie in 2011, and guess who had the former record? Yeah, that's right, Pennsylvania. I see you, Maine. I see you, Maine, getting real petty. Oh, and then Maine tried to make it their state dessert, but that was already held by the blueberry pie. I guess blueberries are a thing in Maine. I don't know. But instead, the government was like, okay, we'll make it the state treat. So whoopie pies are the state treat of Maine. Do you know what the state treat of PA is? We don't have one. Do you know what the state dessert of PA is? We don't have one. We don't have any state. I tried to look it up. There's like only like one other state in the country. Was that always open, or did it just open? I looked back at the footage. That door was open the whole time. There's no ghosts, and I'm not going crazy. I just didn't shut it when I got the mixer out. Anyway, yeah, PA, we don't have any state food. We don't. You'd think that it would maybe be like, I don't know, a cheesesteak, maybe a soft pretzel. Pretzels are huge in Pennsylvania. I don't know. It's the same state that has the dumb liquor laws. I'm definitely on Team PA for who is claiming ownership of the whoopie pie, because why would I side with Maine? I do, however, admire Maine's pettiness. That I do appreciate. So, okay, Maine. I still don't agree, but whatever. All right, first batch is out of the oven. I think I'm comfortable with this spacing. I'm gonna be here all day. I wish they were a little fluffier. I had them in for 8 minutes. I don't wanna bake them any longer because I think because of the dark brown sugar, they're getting dark. Yeah, they're getting dark pretty quick. Oh my God, talking. Okay, so all of our whoopie pies are either baked in the oven or piped out and waiting to go in the oven. So now I'm gonna move on to my favorite part, ganache. So ganache is typically equal parts heavy cream and chocolate. This recipe is going a little rogue and wants me to do a 1/4 cup of cream to 14 ounces of chocolate, which I think is about 1 3/4 cups of chocolate. I don't trust that. It also wanted me to heat up the cream for 1 minute and 45 seconds in the microwave, which I think is just gonna make burnt dairy lava if I were to do that. So, I think I'm gonna go rogue, which always works out. I'm gonna do the 1/4 cup of cream to 1 cup of chocolate chips. I know that kind of contradicts the ratio I just told you, but I'm meeting the recipe maker halfway here. Let's see what happens. So I'm gonna heat up my cream and then I'm gonna pour it over my chocolate and see if I can get that to melt. And we're gonna go from there. I don't know. All right, guys, here's what we're gonna do. I have my cream in a mug. I'm going to heat that up for about 30 seconds and then I'm gonna dump that onto my chocolate chips. I'm gonna cover that up for a couple minutes and then check on it and stir. And we'll see if we have some type of ganache-like product. We'll see. So I poured the heated cream in the bowl, the chocolate chips, covered it in aluminum foil. I'm gonna let that sit for a few minutes to melt the chocolate. I will say, after only 30 seconds, the cream was starting to steam and bubble. So 1 minute and 45 seconds would have just, I don't wanna know. I don't know what happened, but don't do that. Don't do that. So it's been a couple minutes and I have uncovered the cream, ganache, whatever mixture. So it mixed up pretty well. It melted the chocolate pretty well, but there's still some kind of larger chunks. I think I'm just gonna pop this in the microwave for just like 10 seconds. BRB. 10 seconds later, our lumps are gone and I feel pretty good about that. It's gonna be thicker than a typical ganache because the ratios are off, but we'll see what happens. So if you haven't seen my video where I make the key lime cream puffs, you probably don't understand my background with ganache. So here's my issue with ganache. Every time I make it, it's either too thick or too runny, and I think that's due to my own impatience. You're supposed to kind of let it set for a decent amount of time to come to a room temperature and it thickens up. I always get super impatient and I either stick it in the fridge and it gets too hard, or I don't wait long enough and it's still soupy and I'll add powdered sugar or cocoa powder to thicken up and it gets too thick. I think it's pilot error is the issue with me and ganache, but you know what? See, there's always room for improvement. Okay, moving into our last component, which is our marshmallow buttercream. And for that, you're going to need the following. All right, 3 cups of powdered sugar, 1 cup of marshmallow fluff, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 stick of salted butter. I like to use salted butter because it cuts down on the sweetness of the buttercream, and a 1/4 cup of milk, or I prefer to use heavy cream in my buttercream. So let's get going on that. All right, the recipe says to just like dump everything in the bowl, but I kind of like to whip up my butter a little bit first. And we're gonna use our whisk attachment for this. Do that. See, it's just a little bit whipped up and whisked. You don't want to over whip your butter or your heavy cream because it's gonna start to get like weird and chunky and like, just don't do it, just don't do it. Okay, now I'm going to add the wet ingredients, which would be the marshmallow, the heavy cream, and the vanilla, and I'm going to gradually add the powdered sugar to that so I don't get a poof. And I'm just gonna eyeball the fluff because I don't even know if I would use a liquid or solid measuring cup for this. So let's just, you know what, the more the merrier with the fluff. So that's what we're gonna do. I feel like 2 heaping scoops is gonna be a cup. Oh my God. This is also why I didn't want to put it in any type of measuring, because it's just gonna stick to everything. Okay, put some of our heavy cream in there. Ordinarily, I wouldn't follow a recipe for buttercream. I would just wing it, but for the sake of this video, let's follow a recipe. Oh yeah, we need vanilla. Need a teaspoon of that vanilla. Where's my teaspoon? Here she is. This is a half, whatever. I'll just do 2. Again, I would have just dumped some in, but let's be precise. Here we go. So I kind of want to get those all just combined before I add the powdered sugar, because that heavy whipping cream is going to whip up quickly. And if you whip heavy whipping cream too much, it turns into butter and it's not a good time. So, trust me. All right, start adding some. All right, let's start adding some sugar. I'm going to put it in with the thing off. Just a couple spoonfuls. Oops, see? And I was being careful too. All right, we have all our ingredients. Everything's mixed. I'm gonna give it a taste, see if it needs a little bit of salt or something. It's nice, it's like marshmallowy. I am gonna add a pinch of salt because it is very sweet. So just pinch. I already got rid of that spoon. Need another one. Let's use a butter knife. I think the richness of the dark chocolate is gonna kind of help combat the sweetness of this. I don't wanna make it too not sweet, because this is probably gonna be our main source of sugar for this, so. All right, this is how I get buttercream off the whisk. Ta-da! So now we're gonna let this rest in the fridge for a few minutes just to chill a bit. At least that's what the recipe said. You don't want it to get too hard because then you won't be able to pipe it. But I'm gonna let this chill and I'm gonna eat some lunch and then we're gonna assemble our whoopie pies. Yay! All right, so we are all ready for assembly. We have our marshmallow buttercream. It's nice and chilled and it's been put in a piping bag. I have my ganache ready to go with an offset spatula. And I have just some leftover crushed graham crackers, totally optional, but I have them, so I'm gonna use them. So let's get going. So I'm gonna start by using my offset spatula to put a generous amount of ganache on one of the Whoopie pie cookie thingers. And then I'm gonna pipe out some of the marshmallow buttercream. Leave an empty perimeter so when you squish everything down, we're not gonna have anything leaking out. Just gonna add a little bit of dust in here. And we'll squeeze these together a little bit. And there we have it, a Samoa's Whoopie pie. Now I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of these. And we're all done. Look at these beauties, huh? And now for my favorite part, the taste test. That's good. That's really good. Not too sweet. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye-bye.